party has been in a verbal war with the ruling party, the APC, over planned protest. The party's chairman also threatened to call for a nationwide protest against, against what he described as electoral fraud perpetrated against them, both during the 2023 elections, both the presidential and the governorship elections. What's your reading of this constant post-election bickering, BKO?
Well, I think what's going on is dangerous for our country. I think that the three most dominant parties have to exercise caution. Yes, opposition, a virile opposition in a democracy is something really, really desirable. It's something that we want to see. In the past, I challenged the PDP for not providing sufficient challenge to the APC by way of pushing the party in power, holding the party in power to give its best, to be on its toes at all times. That is the job of a virile and responsible opposition. But everything has limits. If you already elected to take your case before the tribunal, before the Court of Appeal, then you should be patient and wait for its decision. You've got to be patient. You can't be before the tribunal pursuing your matter and at the same time be using other means like planning a nationwide protest. To what end? A nationwide protest will not overturn the decision, will not overturn the victory that someone has already claimed. A nationwide protest will not get the INEC to recant and say, oh, sorry, it wasn't Bola Ahmed Tinubu that won the election, it was Atiku Abubakar that won it, or it was Peter Obi who actually came third that won it. That is not going to happen. So it makes sense to allow the courts to do its job, allow the judiciary to do its job. Some of what we are seeing are clearly eating up the politics. We saw, how unpredictable this kind of protest can be. In this country, when Nigerian youths got up to say enough was enough over the NSAS, over the killings by SARS, the police unit, the police anti-robbery squad. Here in Lagos, people joined the protests. I supported the protest from beginning to the end. And I still have no regret. I always say that every opportunity that I have no regret supporting the protest. The only thing that I felt bad about was the fact that some people hijacked the protest and made it look like something that shouldn't have happened. A protest against a police that does not value human lives, a police that continues to kill young men and women for no reason. It was a desirable protest. It's the sort of protest that I would be happy to join. But what did we see? The moment that protest was politicized, then the protesters were being attacked. In Abuja, some of them were stabbed. People's vehicles parked at a big parking lot in Abuja were set ablaze by layabout, by urchins who clearly were paid by politicians who sought to uh, ethnicize and politicize the NSAS protest. There is no guarantee that this sort of protest that the National Chairman of Labour says that they may have to do, if it goes beyond southern Nigeria, then we are playing with bloodshed. I know Nigeria to a large extent. I've lived in both the north and the south, and there's no state in our country that I have not visited at least twice. So I understand how our people think and how easy it is to suddenly hijack this kind of protest and give it a bad name. Before you know it, it will become a battle between North and South, Yorubas, and the rest of the country, and we'll have bloodshed on our hands. So before these people think of coming up, of implementing an idea, they have to think through it sufficiently. You shouldn't just come up with an idea and then think that okay, let's do it. You have to think through it. It's not about you alone, it's about our country. Some people will get up and see this protest as a battle to defend Nigeria. They will see it as Nigeria against the rest of them, or the Yorubas against the rest of them, or the North against some parts of the South. They will give you all kinds of coloration. So politicians need to use their brains. They should not set our country ablaze. I was very angry to see people legitimately protesting against police brutality in Abuja, being stabbed, their vehicles being attacked, and ultimately, the aim of the protest in Abuja was eventually defeated. And that protest that naturally should have even spread across our country, we saw that it could not go beyond the South, and one or two communities in the North. Because clearly some people made it look like it was an attempt to take over power. Whereas in the beginning, the young people who came up to legitimate fight against police brutality were not thinking about taking over power from President Buhari. The constitution is clear about how our power can change hands in our country. But the whole narration was turned upside down by people who sought to benefit politically from the whole problem. So I see that happening again this time. And then some of the comments being made on TV are extremely dangerous. Why would anyone go on TV and be threatening judges that if they love their lives, they should not get involved in inauguration? I've never seen anything like this. And it's dangerous. On WhatsApp chat room, in a WhatsApp chat room, some people were threatening to even bomb the venue of the inauguration. I mean, it shouldn't get this bad. Unfortunately, like Delegiwa said, in all wars, those who die are those who do not deserve to die. Some of the people beating the drums of war now, they won't show up when this whole protest starts.
Absolutely.
They are not going to stand in the front. These hypocrites will only allow children of the poor to die.
Correct.
They will sit in their homes or even flee Nigeria. So it's absolute rubbish for people to allow themselves to be used by politicians who are so self-serving. And I've said it that Nigerians do not deserve to waste their lives because of our irresponsible politicians. Why would you want to put your own life at risk because of a politician.
Doesn't even make sense.
If the elections were rigged, the courts are there for you to seek redress, not to invite Nigerians to take to the streets and potentially cause conflagration in our country. We don't want to see that. And all the terrible rhetoric going on as if people who have lost elections are insurrectionists, they have to stop. So those comments we should not be hearing people make such comments in a manner that suggests that they are waging a war against their country. And the ambition of an individual cannot be more important than the well-being, peace, and stability of our country.
Absolutely.
That message has to sink in.
Absolutely, BKO.